Yeah.
I mean, most of the drivers in Texas offend me. And it's like, but I don't know. Where do you stop? Where do you draw the line?
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Because that's what happens is eventually that's unacceptable. You just made a joke about that. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, like, say, next thing, that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
And then next thing after that. So if you make one thing, and I don't know.
Well, Joe Rogan, I think, read a book or made a joke or like did a special on, I think the Sacred Clown Tour was what it was. And part of that was like the Heyoka tribe used to have I forget what the name of it was, but it was like a person in the tribe that was like essentially a comedian. And they would just make fun of everything. Mm-hmm. And the reason they did that, the reason they had that was because if you made fun of something and people got offended by it, you knew that it was bullshit. Because everything should be able to be made fun of, because you should be able to make light of life, because that helps make life easier for people to deal with, you know? And so, like, there's people, like, people are always like, well, there's certain things that are off limits and certain things that aren't. Well, you know, comedy, like you said, is subjective, and it helps people kind of, like, make it through certain situations. So that's why I think comedy's so valuable. And I think comedy's making a comeback now, especially in Austin area. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot of good comedians that have moved out there from LA because they wanted to get away from Hollywood. They wanted to get away from California and all that.
Here's a good example of comedy that a lot of people were offended by. Something I did. So my dear auntie, she was on a deathbed, and my uncle called me and said, "This is in 2018. Your auntie, your aunt, auntie, whatever you say in America, but you know, she's been admitted to hospital. She's not going to come out." So I jumped in the car, drove the 5.5 hours up north to see her, and I was really fortunate when I turned up in the hospital. Like, she'd always had people around her bed, and for that moment there was no one there, so I could just have some real personal one-on-one chat with her. And she started crying when she saw me, and I had it was kind of emotional, and it was really sad to see her, but I was very fortunate to see her.
Were you close with your aunt?
I was very yes. It was one of those hindsights. I wish I'd spent more time in the years I was in the military, like, being closer. Yeah. But yeah, I was close, and a remarkable woman. And then so she turned. I sat down and I'm like, "Oh, good to see you." And I went, "Okay, Aunt." In the book I call, I think, Aunt Grace. In my book that you won't read, she's called Grace. It's not a real name, but I said, "Oh, Auntie Grace, how are you doing?" She's like, "I've got to ask you a question. When do you think you're going to die?" And so this was a Saturday afternoon. "When do you think you're going to die?" And she's like, "What?"